Call to order. For viewing by members of the public and media, this meeting is being held at the Charlotte Mecklenburg Government Center in room 280 at 600 East 4th Street in Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, room 280. We will move through introductions, beginning with my commissioners from my right, please.
Aaron Shaw, Planning Commission.
Rick Winiker, Planning Commission.
Andrew Blumenthal, Planning Commission.
Shauna Neely, Planning Commission.
Clayton Seeley, Planning Commission.
And my name is Kiba Samuel. I serve as chair of the planning committee. And please, if staff could do introductions, I greatly appreciate it.
Gretchen Flores, Planning Staff.
Kathy Cornett, Planning Staff.
Zania Duhaney, Planning Staff.
Thank you so very much. If everyone has had a chance, opportunity to review meeting minutes from the April 2023 work session, we will entertain a motion to approve or motion to edit if there are any needed amendments.
Commissioner Seeley, motion to approve.
Commissioner Neely, second.
Motion by Seeley, second by Neely. Hey, that rhymes. I'm just joking. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimous. Thank you so very much. Jumping right into the agenda for this evening. I have a question on 20. Actually, two questions, and then just a general comment about for Park and Rec. Does anybody else desire to pull any other mandatory referral? Okay, so on item number 20, please have two questions, I think. And a comment, more of a kudos for this preservation effort. My question is, and I don't know if you guys would be the appropriate persons to kind of answer this, but where are the funds coming from for this acquisition? What bucket of money specifically?
Sure, absolutely. Tim Porter, Chief Urban Forester, City Planning. So all the funding for this acquisition and the program, the Tree Canopy Preservation Program, or TCP, is 100% developer paid fee in lieu dollars collected during land development permitting, so no tax dollars at all. It's payment in lieu of preserving tree save on a development site. So in the more urban kind of density driven type development areas in the city, there are many flexibility options. One of those is for developers can choose to do payment in lieu, and to offset that lack of preservation on site, this program will use those funds to acquire, protect, and manage conservation in perpetuity as strongly as we can. So
Thank you. I remember your short presentation to Planning Commission. I asked a question, give me an example of how in lieu dollars would look like, or what types of transactions. So thank you so much for bringing this forward. Are you at liberty to divulge what percentage of in lieu funds would be remaining after this acquisition?
I'm at liberty to. I don't have those numbers in front of me right now. I know Ebony mentioned that we have ordered an appraisal, so we're not sure.
Yeah, the appraisal was done yesterday, so we haven't had.
TBD.
There's approximately 7 million in there, not counting fees collected during this fiscal year. So there'll be a significant amount of money left in there after this acquisition.
Okay.
We hopefully want to bring another one before this group soon. So.
Good. And then I don't think I read the note that this one is scheduled for any type of programming, at least not anything intensive. But this would be managed by or donated to the Catawba Land Conservancy?
The intent is with all our larger acquisitions is to protect it as strongly as possible. And we typically partner with them if they have interest and they have expressed interest. So our model would be to acquire the land, the city would retain ownership, and we would donate a conservation easement to the Catawba Lands Conservancy.
Commissioner Winiker, I suspect that you have a question, but I wonder if my next question you can feed off or help me formulate, flesh out. What benefit is there to providing the easement to Catawba versus allowing park and some type of partnership with Park and Rec?
Well, we're certainly open to a partnership with Park and Rec, and we have attempted multiple times to kind of come up with models to work with them on this program. Haven't had success yet, but we're interested and we're mandated by a comprehensive plan to continue to do that. So I don't know if there'd be a higher level benefit of working with Catawba Lands Conservancy. The best benefit of doing that is it's the strongest legal protection possible is to have an easement with them. But we certainly could take a similar approach with the county if we could find alignment on mission and a good project or partnership.
Yeah, I'm surprised that hadn't actually been massaged already. But again, I think my ignorance lies in the benefits that Catawba would be able to serve. I know the preservation piece of it, but I think that to your point, if missions align, which I think Park and Rec would be able to respect the mission of Conservancy. I don't know, preservation, I meant. Commissioner Winiker.
I think that with the onset of the new UDO and directing that the fee and lieu funds, be directed for more conservation, land conservation and acquisition, I think it'll provide more opportunities for the county to step up and work with the city in these kinds of arrangements. And I think that every citizen would want to see that happen. The county does a great job with the management of their lands. I know that Tim Porter and his group have done a fantastic job identifying parcels that are important for preservation. And it's just a win-win-win for all of us. Catawba Lands is a rock when it comes to land preservation around here. Even before the city and the county were kind of getting into the game aggressively. So it's all good, but we definitely want to, on all levels, try to help clear the path, so to speak, with machetes and whatnot, to make sure that these two great organizations have as much opportunity to cooperate with each other. And on the ground, their cooperation is probably seamless. The issues get as we get higher in the tree, it gets a little bit more tangled. And hopefully, me as a citizen, I would say anyone higher in the tree looking at whatever Park and Rec can do to complement the mission that they're doing and vice versa, really is for the benefit of everyone for generations.
I'm sorry, I think that's well said, and I would echo those sentiments by just simply stating the UDO certainly blends those two worlds a little better. There's requirements in there for developers to potentially donate land for their preservation requirement to the city for this program or to the county for Park and Rec interests, and also to partner together where we could potentially all work together, including Catawba Lands Conservancy, because they hold easements on some park lands. So I think the comprehensive plan, the UDO, have taken steps to push that the effort to kind of integrate more in our programming. So I look forward to hopefully realizing the opportunity of those partnerships.
That's Commissioner Blumenthal. I'll just add one thing to that. One nice thing about easement language is that it's, for lack of a better word, negotiable. So just because this does get, donated into a conservation easement, that doesn't necessarily preclude a future partnership with Parks and Rec on this. You just have to make sure that, there are carve outs, let's say, for some of those uses. But frequently, these easements allow for recreational uses. It's just, it's a lot more restrictive as it relates to permanent structures. But that doesn't mean that there can't be something, an allowance, let's say, for a future partnership with Parks and Rec on something like this.
You're 100% correct. And I'll be working with Ebony on this future one, but I can say in the past conservation easements, those allowances have been provided for trail networks, things like minimal disturbance. If anyone's familiar with nature preserves in the county system, they will allow a certain percentage of parking, but really limited to almost no infrastructure and no additional development at all. So we have things like that built into our conservation easements, hoping one day we can kind of align. Yeah.
Is the next one anywhere in the northwest corridor? Like near Mountain Island Lake, perhaps?
No, the one I was referencing vaguely earlier is not in that area, but we do have properties throughout the city and in the ETJ as we collect fees from the ETJ. So we have acquired some land. We have acquired land in that area. I'll be happy to report out on what we have acquired over there, and we have partnered with Catawba Lands. So happy to come back anytime to kind of show a map and talk about the program's history.
The door is open, you all. Yes, Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. Hopefully they're quick. One, just maybe ignorant question. Why would an easement be better for perpetuity than a deed restriction? Is there like the specific reason behind that, or would either work?
I'm going to stray out of my lane into like a tree legal type of answer, but generally my understanding is that sometimes we'll do both, but the easement seems to have just conveys, not legally, but just a higher level of awareness and understanding of like this is protected, where deed restrictions may not have that understanding generally in the public. I think internally too, one of the reasons that we do this is, there's a lot of needs for facilities throughout the city, and this kind of protects it from ourselves, so to speak. That conservation easement, we like to lay as much as we can on there. So, Ebony, welcome anything to add there if you have anything. If not,
No, you-
okay.
it's like explain it.
Thank you. That's helpful just for my own ignorance. Second, are there any just Catawba Land Conservancy or someone else provide some version of security on these lands, or what are there any security concerns on, kind of these lands once they're acquired and sort of unprotected, if you will, from people, I guess, trespassing or
Sure.
being on there?
Yes, there are always security issues, trespassing issues on protected, undeveloped land. So we partner with General Services. Their landscape management division is the property managers for that. And there's always illegal dumping, trespassing. We have reports of target practice a couple weeks ago on the site. So it's something that we're constantly dealing with. So we boundary mark and we put up the legally required no trespassing signs to make sure we're meeting any state statutes or laws to make sure that we've noticed those properties. But yes, there's always issues there. Our intent is to, if it makes sense, if capacity allows, or if partnership with the county, for example, were to kind of come to fruition, all these properties would be publicly accessible. Right now, they are not. They're not publicly accessible. They're publicly owned, but we don't have trail networks formally. We don't have. We try to avoid any. We demolish homes. We try to avoid any attractive nuisances. There's a pond in a few of these that we have to put in a lot of signage just to make sure people are aware. So it's an ongoing issue.
Thank you. And I have only one more question, which it may be a longer question, not worth answering in here. If that's the case, that's fine. I was reading the note about 50% tree canopy by 2050, I think is the note. And it kind of blew my mind a little bit. I'm assuming, and I'm curious if the calculation is not just over city and county owned land, but presumably privately owned tree canopy or tree canopy in all the various forms that it can exist. And then I guess second, are you acquiring in areas where tree canopy is low, or are there targeted areas similarly to MEC playbook?
So 50 by 50 is a city goal. It's a city council adopted goal that was adopted in 2011. And from a policy perspective, we're working with Tree Charlotte right now to complete a canopy analysis countywide. And the next policy step after that is to dig into that canopy goal to see if 50 by 50 is really where we as a community want to be. My opinion, it's in the current political realities we live in, it's impossible to meet that goal. Also, a one size fits all goal doesn't make sense anymore. Scalable, more strategic, intentional things. So that's something we'll be looking at with council in the future, and I'm sure we'll be talking to this board about it. I'm sorry, what was the second question?
Oh, sorry. The second question was, is there like a math or a science behind targeted areas other than just obviously it's available and it has a lot of trees, which I assume is part of it?
Yes, we do have a strategy, and there's a manual that kind of describes, the target for the program. It's almost one of a kind. We started it back in 2015. There really weren't any other cities doing it now. Now a number of cities are, Raleigh, Atlanta, a couple of kind of copied this model. One of the main factors that drive acquisition is where the money's coming out of. So we attempt to find land in close proximity to areas that have paid into this fund, because that's where a lot of development is occurring and there's no canopy being preserved, or not a lot. And so that's one thing, but also like many land trusts, we have to remain opportunistic. So this property is a great example of that. It's in an area that is starting to see a lot of subdivision development. And we thought it made a lot of sense because it's close to existing preserved land. There's I can't read it, across the street there's a county nature preserve. We have a scoring model that targets greenways, other types of trails in low canopy areas. So this is a property that's in an area with low canopy and declining canopy. We value forested land really highly, but this also represents an opportunity to move the needle up, because about 30 acres of it is pasture right now, and we can reforest it. So kind of reclaim some canopy. So we think that's a great story too. So that's an example of a few things in our strategy that we target.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm glad we were able to make friends, Tim, because I think that I came up with like 5 more questions, and I only have 1 more month to ask them. So can you please keep your schedule kind of flexible for next
Absolutely.
month's second Tuesday? Maybe you can report out on some of the things that we inquired about this evening. Thank you
Yeah.
so very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. And I think that I don't have a specific comment on the other items. It's more of a broad comment, but does anybody have anything specific that they're asking about any of the remaining MRs? So then this note is for Tim and crew and Bert and crew. Let's show some love to the Northwest Corridor, Mountain Island Lake, Oakdale Road, Mount Holly, Huntersville. We're bordering Huntersville. We already know that's a gap area for Park and Rec. Don't know if that's a gap area or something that we're targeting. I know we have some acquisitions that you've already worked through with Catawba Lands. That's all good, but there's something very specific about that corridor that I'll touch base with you on probably tomorrow via email, of course. With that, I think we can. Actually, can we do 20 in a separate motion? Because I do want to highlight the fact that we, after clarifying questions regarding financing, not financing,
funding.
No, I don't know.
Nope. No additional comment.
Sure. Pull that one out.
No.
You
Go for it. Go for it,
Yes.
Rick.
Okay. Planning committee reviewed mandatory referral reports 23, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 on May 16th, 2023. We have no additional comments for the submitting agency.
Blumenthal second.
Motion by
Blumenthal second.
Winiker Blumenthal, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimous. Thank you. Thank you again, Tim.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Okay, and we bid you all adieu. Thank you so much for coming, just in case. Hope to see you next month. Kathy, I think will take us through, or is it Gretchen or?
No, it's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will take us through a community area plan update as we move through community area plan implementation phase.
Thank you. Kathy Cornett, planning staff. So similar to what you all heard at full commission, we're in our fourth community planning area now. So we had the virtual workshop this afternoon, had a little better attendance. I think there was maybe 10, 12 folks there. And similar to the other areas, even though the attendance might not be what we hoped, we are having very robust conversations and pretty meaningful, and folks at the end have each time said that they've learned something, and thank you for the information, and in some cases even maybe dispelled some myths from the comprehensive plan or clarified something that folks have misunderstood. So it is great. The bright side, we don't have as many touches that we might want to have in those meetings, but folks are really getting good information out of it. So we're pleased to have that interaction with them. I also wanted to mention to you that all of the workshop materials are now online, or they're at least for the West Middle, I think, and Inner. The ones for this current series are not up there yet, but that includes the focus area exercises, the recordings of the meetings, printable versions, the online comment map link, and then there's also what we do in the focus group and the questions that we ask. There's sort of a survey type version of multiple choice of those high level questions. So all of that information is available as well. We have a meeting Thursday night, Embassy Suites in Airsley, and also same location on Saturday morning. So that's basically all I have, unless you all have any questions.
It's Commissioner Blumenthal, just two quick things. One, would you mind sending around to this committee, or actually the full commission, frankly, that PDF that you shared with us yesterday in XCOM that has
Yeah.
everything
Mhm. Yeah.
consolidated on one document?
Actually, I have more hard copies that I meant to bring down. If you want hard copies, I can run up and get them after the meeting. I meant to do that and I forgot.
I have mine from yesterday, but I can't hurt.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'll send out a PDF of it.
thank you. And then how was attendance at the virtual today?
Well,
12?
Mhm.
Okay, did I miss that? Oh. Well, that was just a question. And then just kind of more high level, has feedback been constructive? And the reason I ask that is because, you know, we all have our different kind of stakeholder groups that we talk to outside of this, right? And my big thing recently has been not only encouraging people to show up, but to keep feedback constructive and frankly, not just whine about things that you don't like. And I wish we didn't hear as much of that, but we do, right?
Yeah,
Or at
yeah,
least I do,
yeah.
speaking for myself. So has feedback at these been constructive? I mean, obviously there will be some criticism, right? We knew that it wasn't perfect going into it, but Just wanted to kind of see what your thoughts were there.
It has, it's been very constructive. Today, it was a great conversation. So today, we'd been breaking out on the virtual. If you've been to the virtual ones, we do those breakout rooms and we would do 3 breakout rooms. But we found that if the attendance is under like 15 to 20 people, it's not as fruitful because you've only got a few people in the room. So we decided to try today to just not do that and just kind of rotate staff that presented the material. And that really helped. The conversation kind of flowed throughout and it was very constructive. And I think folks were learning from one another and they can feed off one another's comments, which is very helpful. In some of the in-person ones, I mean, I'll be very frank, like the last 2 times, I mean, sometimes there's kind of some hard conversations that you have to have, or you have to hear people out on their questions or frustrations, but that just leads to greater understanding and learning in the end. So even when sometimes there are some frustrations being expressed or those types of things, in the end, it really helps that people were able to get that out and we were able to respond to it in the best way that we can.
And that training session for this week is tomorrow, is that correct?
So it's confusing. The training session is the Thursday before the Tuesday virtual. So it was last week.
Okay.
So next Tuesday will be the training for the following set of workshops.
Okay.
But you can still come. It's just for the facilitation piece.
Right.
That's all.
Okay.
Because we were looking at different scenarios in each one and there's kind of like some nuances and specifics to each area, and it would just be helpful for you to hear kind of some of those things.
Okay.
Random thought. So going through CLT planning's Instagram and these posts, they don't seem to be getting a ton of engagement. Could I encourage you guys to tag me as a collaborator?
Sure.
So I was fully happy to host that on my page as well. So just have them tag CLT development. And then you'll have twice the reach. Or 10 times the reach.
Yeah, fantastic. We're
Yeah.
happy to do that.
Alicia talked about this weekend, we were talking about the comp plan and community area planning at Mayor Pro Tem's Town Hall. And I think we all identify that the best laid plans have space for flexibility, adaptability, et cetera. And I know that you guys are shifting as needed and reevaluating, much like you described today. Have we explored an opportunity or see a value in possibly streaming or almost like having the virtual option for the in-person workshop? So basically doing a hybrid event for any of the workshops.
We haven't, and I think mainly it's just a logistical thing because it's kind of complicated to do that. And the in-person events are really, they're designed so that people can come and do the one-stop
around.
shop with the other partners in the room. And that, we don't obviously do that on the virtual one, so that wouldn't be possible for the folks who are streaming to kind of ask questions. And people do enjoy that piece of it because Solid Waste Services is there, 311's there, CDOT's there, and usually folks will make the round at the beginning. We can certainly talk about it, but that would be one thing that I'd be a little bit worried about.
I see you over there. With that, are you going to officially add anything?
Yes, I will say that, we have thought about that. To Kathy's point, it's a logistical, I won't say nightmare, but it's more than a discomfort, but it's hard. And, it wouldn't offer the experience that people are looking for, but I want us to remember that we are offering right now 5 or 6 different ways for people to touch the information. The virtual meeting, in-person option on Thursday night, in-person option on Saturday morning, a 24/7 platform to interact with the same material online, library hours on the off weeks of the workshops, and an email, they can just ask us anything, and a comment map where they can just say anything. Mhm. It's a lot.
With that,
We're open to suggestions because it is, yeah, it's hard.
are there any additional comments, questions for teams?
Just curious about how the outreach to neighborhood associations has been going, as far as people actually responding. I know that I'm part of the NODA Neighborhood Business Association. And we put together a committee around this, and we're trying to work with, we are split into 2 different areas, unfortunately, but with the greater area of the neighborhood, we're trying to work with Villa Heights, Optimus Park, Plaza Shamrock, Plaza Belmont, all those areas to actually work together on this. Are you seeing that kind of response from neighborhood associations?
I think the ones that like, today there was a Southwest Neighborhood Coalition.
Sure, Steel
and-
Creek was.
Yeah,
very-
yeah, Steel Creek. And last week there was another neighborhood coalition. There was also a Planning Academy alumni who then after she attended Thursday and then reached out to some other smaller neighborhoods that attended on Saturday. So there has been some of it, which is great. And we continue to encourage folks to do that as well. It's also great when those folks are in the room too, because we know and we tell them that they're a better mouthpiece for the information than we are a lot of times, because you'd rather hear it from your neighbor than you would a staff person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next month. Motion? Anybody? Somebody?
Commissioner Seeley, motion to adjourn.
All in favor, push your chairs away. Good night.
Process.
Let me run out and get
Well, hold on, keep ahead of last year.
Okay.
I have, yep, he gave me one.
I definitely need one.
You want a hard copy?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I think would you mind? I think-
Yeah.